In this video, I'm going to cover an in-depth sensitivity guide to help those of us out who are on mouse and keyboard. And you know, these videos are very hard to find, so I want to welcome you. Later in the video, I have data to uncover that I know you will find useful, so definitely encourage you to stick around for that as well. To kick things off, I want to dispel this myth that if you change your sensitivity that you are going to ruin your muscle memory. Now, if you read up on aim theory, yes, that is a real thing, by the way, it's very nerdy, you know that this is actually a lie. There was a study done by the Johns Hopkins Department of Neuroscience, and what they found was nothing short of remarkable. According to this study, there's data to suggest that changing your sensitivity can actually be quite beneficial for you. Even still, there's a good chance that you're still skeptical to change your sensitivity, but I can assure you that nobody was more skeptical than me. Even still, I eventually gave into this. I tried it, and honestly, I wish I would have done this sooner, so just keep that in mind. Next, let's briefly talk about DPI and why it matters. It was recently discovered that a DPI of such as 1600 or 3200 is generally your best bet to reducing input latency. The reduction isn't groundbreaking though, so if you prefer to play on 400 or 800, this is not something that you necessarily have to change. In fact, a lot of pros seem to stick to lower DPI, and they probably are aware of this. By the way, I don't recommend using 16,000 DPI just as an example. Don't go to the other extreme either. At some point, you do run into diminishing returns, so just be mindful of that. To keep things moving, I'm now going to share with you that data that I told you I collected in the beginning of the video. And this is where things get a little interesting. So I interviewed some people within the M&K community, asking them what their current sensitivity is, and based on all the responses I got, I actually got the average of that data. I was not only fortunate to have access to players who are like myself and about average in skill level, but also some of the best M&K players in the game. This can be very helpful to you if you don't even know where to start, right? If you're overwhelmed, again, this is a great starting point to give you an idea of, which side of the spectrum you should be starting on, either a low sense or a high sense. So let's go ahead and now take a look at the data and the players in which I gathered this data from. Just for clarification, I did want to mention that in some cases, I just pulled some information based on like a YouTube video that the player uploaded themselves. Just want to point that out. Taking a look at these players and their sensitivity, you can see that a slower sensitivity seems to be favored among mouse and keyboard players in Halo, which is really not surprising. In fact, the average sense among these players is going to be a whopping 56 centimeters per 360. For comparison's sake, the average sense among CSGO pros was something around 59.76 centimeters per 360. But don't panic if you don't know what centimeters per 360 is. Here is a great explanation, and a link to the full video is in the description below.
CM360 is how many centimeters of mouse movement it takes to do a 360 in game. So if it takes you 40 centimeters of moving your hand left or right to do a complete 360 in game, your CM360 would be 40 or 40/360.
This is actually not complicated, and you don't have to pull out a ruler at all. Hop on this website right here, gamingsmart.com, put in your information, and it simply tells you. Moving forward, I am asking you to know what your centimeters per 360 is, as this now becomes interactive. First of all, if you are playing on anything under 20 centimeters per 360, I think that is way too fast. However, there are always exceptions. There was a pro by the name of Scoobmeister, and he played on roughly about 20 centimeters per 360. Regardless, I think that's way too fast for you, and a good starting point would be anywhere from 35 to 65 cm per 360. But of course, if you want to go slower than that, I think yes, most definitely go for it. Remember too that there's really no such thing as a right or wrong, so if you feel like I'm wrong and a sensitivity is working for you, then just keep it. To leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger, what if you could combine the benefits of a high sense and a low sense? Well, I'm actually working on that video right now, and it's not clickbait, so be sure to stay tuned for that. In the meantime, feel free to watch one of my other videos, and I sincerely hope this helped you out. Thank you so much for watching.
Autopilot engine. Double kill. Killing spree. Triple kill.
Tango's